It's always great for me to find a guest for this show on one of my other podcasts because I've already had a chance to get to know their story and learn all about how much value they can bring. And that's exactly what's happening today. Matt, thank you for coming back to show number 2, this time on Writing with Authors.
Vincent, so glad to be back and been looking forward to another conversation with you. I really enjoyed our first one.
I appreciate that. So did I. And if you missed his show on That Entrepreneur Show or it didn't come out yet, whatever John comes out first, head to the link in bio. I'll have the second one there for you. But this is Writing with Authors. Around 10 minutes each episode, I sit down with a different author and we dive into their book, why they became an author, some tips for success, and everything in between. I learned about his book, as I mentioned, on That Entrepreneur Show's interview. So let's see this book. Let's learn all about it.
There it is.
All right.
UnEngaged, building flourishing organizations. I'll get a little closer so you can see the writing.
Perfect.
But it comes out this upcoming Tuesday, so 6 days away,
As we're
24th.
recording this. I remember something from our other podcast, the cover designs, how unique that was. You have the whole series planned. Let's dive into that a bit.
Okay, well, you can see over my left shoulder here, there's the first one is unsatisfied. That's the one in red. This one's unengaged. So if you put those two together, it forms an arrow. And then the next two I'll be working on. I've already started working on the third one. They're going to be they'll fit below it. So and they'll be the stems of the arrow. And so you put all four together. There'll be four different colors. That'll be the biggest difference. And but you put all four together, it forms an arrow. And there's a lot of meaning behind that. But that's the goal.
I'm definitely going to ask you to dive into some of that meaning, but do the colors have certain representations as well?
So the first two, yes. So the first one was unsatisfied when less is more, and really, it's the core meaning is living life intentionally. So stop doing what our culture says will bring you satisfaction, joy, lasting happiness, and that is pursuit of more, 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 more. Because so really, so that's the red. So stop doing that and live life intentionally. And then unengaged is all about go. So it's motivating. It's all about addressing the core people related challenges in organizations, such as lack of engagement, turnover, and those things. So it's all about go, do something as a leader in your organization to address these core issues, because they won't fix themselves.
And I think there's so much information out there, but not the right information. And that's why your book plays such a crucial role, getting the correct information to help organizations build that culture and sustain. What led you to book number 1? I know you're an ambitious guy. I know you've got all these books already planned out, but did you always want to become an author, or describe that process when you thought it was time to do so?
Actually, no. The first time I actually had I had the real thought about being an author was probably about 10 years ago. And it was a fleeting thought. And so I didn't really entertain it. And then about 5 years after that, so this would be probably 7 years now, I was at the time I was traveling all over the world, meeting with leaders, and I kept hearing the story over and over and over again about how these leaders built their businesses. Most of them were owners of family businesses, and they had sacrificed everything. And what they meant by everything is they meant their families, they meant their marriages and their kids, because they wanted to build this thing, right, that would give them money, power, freedom, whatever they thought would bring them satisfaction, and it wasn't. And these people were brokenhearted, and literally it was like, take my business, I don't want it. And I was in private equity, so I was looking to buy businesses.
Right,
And
right.
it honestly, it broke my heart, because I heard it not one, two, five, I heard it 100 times or more. And so I just kept a journal. And finally, about probably the 30th time I heard it, I'm like, somebody's got to write something about this, because something's got to be done. And I was at a point in my own life where I was going through a real struggle on, okay, what do I want my life? What's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? What's my why? And so those two things collided, and that's how the first book came to be.
I love it. And you're not only you're filling a need for many others, it seems like the writing may have healed you as well. I find writing to be very therapeutic as well.
Yep.
Now, with this series, who is the target reader? So anybody who's looking on today who's already intrigued, because I know I certainly am, who is the target reader for this series?
Yeah, great question. And so my passion is leaders, but with the first book, it really evolved much differently than I thought it would as I wrote it. And so really the first one is about, it's really targeted towards people who are passionate and they want to grow. They want to grow, they want to change, they want to become the best version of themselves possible. And they're tired of kind of living life by accident. That was the theme I kept hearing. and they want to do something about it, right? They want to take the reins of their life, and they want to, and I in the book I talk about, that you have the pen, right? You're writing your life story.
Like that.
And if you don't like the story you're writing, put a period down, turn the page, and begin writing the story that you want to write, that you think will lead to the ending that you want to lead to. And so that's the first one. The second one really is geared towards leaders, and it's leaders of organizations that are passionate about people. I talk about restoring humanity to organizations and helping leaders remember that without people, you don't have an organization, right? Organizations are made of people, and they sell their products and services to other, guess what, people. And so it's just helping leaders get the mindset of, and I talk about three foundational pillars of flourishing organizations: empathy, empowerment, and excellence. And I unpack what that means. And then that's the first part of the book. The second part of the book, I refer actually back to a model from the first book called the Flourishing Life Model, but I apply it to organizational life. And the third part is all about exercises and application, because I didn't want to write books. Both books have the same. I didn't want to write a book or books that are just philosophy and concept. I wanted construct and exercises. I want it to be simple, practical, and relevant. I want these people to be able to say, okay, so what? What do I do about it? So here's a playbook for you. And so both books have that. The second book is written in a narrative story form. It's a fictional story based in truth. The whole thing, all the names are been changed to protect the innocent. The second book is written to be a story that flows and unpacks these principles, these concepts, to show leaders this is how you can do it if you're serious about addressing the core issues that a lot of organizations are facing today.
I really appreciate you taking the time to share that. So everyone out there, if that sounds like you, be ready to buy this book. It is coming out. This episode might even be released on release day. I love how you touched on there. It's a people business. Everything is a people business. This morning I was editing a show. My friend Sasha in New York, he owns a few restaurants, and he's talking about how you're making they're a guest in your restaurant. There are all these places to eat. They choose your restaurant, but it's hard to get that message through to maybe a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old, the dishwasher, the busboy, that it's just a job to them. So I love how you said it's all about people, because it's true. No matter what industry you're in, we're in different industries. It's still a people business. We do deals with people. We trust people. We like people. We'll do business with people. You've touched on a lot of great stuff today, but before I find out where to find this book, all your websites, all that good stuff, what are some tips you have for other writers out there who may be struggling on their writing journey?
Great question, Vincent. For me, it was just about it may sound a little crude, but I needed to get down and write my vomit draft. And basically I just need to start writing. And, I procrastinated. I had done some writing before. I had published some papers, some articles. But the thought of a book was so intimidating to me that I literally put it off for 5 years. And finally, it's one of those things that it's like, screw it. If I don't do something, if I don't just start writing, this is never going to happen. And so I just started writing. And, literally the first draft of my book came back with so much red ink and comments. I was a good student. And so, but guess what? I had a draft done. I had something that now I hired an editor, and she helped me turn it into a book. And so I wish I could say that there's some secret sauce or some magic pill you could take, but there's nothing besides just start writing. Write a page, set a goal. I had a goal of 250 words a day with the first book. The second book, I increased that to 500 words a day. And some days I wrote good stuff. Some days it was junk and I didn't use it. So, but I wrote every day.
I love that advice. And just start. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. There's no better time. Just start. You'll regret how long you take. You wish you wrote it earlier.
Yep.
And the thing about with writing, I compare it to reading, where you get a big book, say it's 1,000 pages. You're like, this is going to take me forever. But you set these goals. I read every morning for 10 pages. I do at least 10 pages in the morning. And then I find myself actually finishing some of these books that have been in the queue, just half read forever. Don't get overwhelmed by the whole big picture of we have to write this whole book. Start with paragraph 1, page 1. And then before you know it, you find your rhythm, you find your groove, and you're off to the races. You gave me such a great episode again. I want to thank you so much. Where can we find this book online? Where can we learn more about you online?
So find me www.uniquelynormal.com. So UNIQUELY, then normal.com. There is information there where you can find both books, but the second book is at Ballast Books, BALLAST books.com. It'll also be released on Amazon the 24th. It's available for pre-order now at Ballast Books and available on Amazon starting next the 24th.
All right, everyone, be sure to go get that book and check out his website. The show is at Writing with Authors and mainly more active on my pages at Vincent De Lancey. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay tuned for the next show. And with that, we are signing off. Matt, thank you very much for coming back on the shows.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.